Hello YouTube. Today I'm working on, or I was working on, a Minolta SRT 101. The story behind this camera is I bought a box lot of cameras and lenses on eBay for $5. I think there was 3 or 4 camera bodies and 3 or 4 lenses and some doodads and thingies, and this was one of them. All of these cameras were said to be in non-working condition, and sure enough they weren't. Anyhow, long story short, this ended up being something totally different than what I expected. The short version of this story is that when I got it, the shutter button was in the down position, the released position. Both curtains had gone over to their picture taken side. The shuttercock lever would ratchet, but it would not pull the curtain back, it would not reset the shutter. So I took the top off, and I took a series of pictures of the process of taking the top off. I'm going to include that, although there's really not a lot in this video in terms of technical knowledge. This is just an observation and another lesson in looking for the shortest distance between 2 points. So the camera would not cock. Took the top all off. I checked all of this stuff, and you can see that this camera is significantly more sophisticated than any of the old Pentaxes I've worked on. There is a lot going on here. That's out of focus, I'm sorry for that. And you probably can't see, but there's also a cord that winds its way through here to what I'm guessing is, because I don't know, either the shutter speed or the ASA. I'm not sure which. In any event, there's a lot. It's a very busy camera. Ultimately, after fiddling with it for a while, I noticed that the timer lever was in, I'm going to say it was in the 10 o'clock position. It was just stuck there. I had brought it down all the way, released it, and it timed its way up back to the 10 o'clock position and stopped. I didn't know that had any relevance to anything else. I was looking for something broken or misplaced or dislodged. Again, trying to keep this short. Underneath here, where the shutter button is, there's two gears, one on top of another, that form kind of a clutch. They go together as you're moving the advance lever, and they both turn together, and that makes all the clockwork in here do its thing, pull the shutter curtain back, reset everything. I didn't know that there was a relationship between the two, not like that. So after fiddling with it for a while and trying to get the lower, from in here, the lower of the 2 gears, and you can't see them unless you're really in there, the lower of the 2 gears to come up and re-engage the top gear, I couldn't make it work. I tried to get, and I'm glad I couldn't, I tried to get more of this apart. Again, trying to keep this a short story. I started noticing this, and I wondered why it wouldn't go back to its resting position. So, quite frankly, what I did was I put my thumb on it and I forced it up, and it kept on winding with resistance, and then there was a click. It snapped back to its proper position, and I could hear something inside here snap together. And then, as if by magic, it's off now, but I put the advance lever back on, and it worked. And it appears to be working in proper shutter time, and it seems to be in excellent mechanical condition. So while there's not a lot here in technical information, I just wanted to pass that on. Sometimes it's just a simple thing. I'm going to assume from now on that the timer doesn't work, and I'm just never going to use that again. I don't know what the previous owner did to make this lock up and the shutter not advance, and I'm not going to pursue it any farther than this. The thing works. I'm going to run some film through it at some point, and I'm going to call it a victory and let it be at that. So that's all I've got for that one. The slideshow will just be to show you how to get the top off if you have one and you want to take a look. So that's it for now. So, as you go forth into the world, working on your Minolta SRT 101, here's a couple of things to bear in mind. If your, well, we'll start here. If your meter needle is not working, there's a great video from Fix Old Cameras about how to take the top off and how to get the needle loose again. Let me point out to you with a little more clarity what that guy was talking about. Taking the prism off is very straightforward and very simple. Your needle, let's see if I can get a little bit closer. Your needle's right there, it's that fine hair, it's not the thing with the loop. And the little foam pieces that he's talking about are in the corners of the slot the needle travels in. If you can see that, there's a slot right there. And at either end, there's a little foam bumper. That's what he's talking about, taking out. And I did not, I just popped the needle loose from the foam, it was stuck. The other thing you want to bear in mind, when you have your prism out and you're fishing around in there doing whatever you're doing, right there is the actual scale that you see when you're looking through the viewfinder that has your shutter speeds on it. That is barely in there. It's kind of stuck down with a couple dots of sticky something, and that's all it holds it in there. So if you're swishing around in there with a Q-tip like I was, it pops loose, and then you got to figure it out longhand. So bear that in mind. Also, when you're taking the top off and when you're doing whatever you're doing, in this case, this one had a stuck shutter button and a couple of trivial things that turned out to be a lot less than they really were. Anyhow, these cameras are kind of cool in that they have, it's like heavy fishing line strung back and forth through it, and that controls your your shutter speed control is cabled back here, and I'm sure you can't see this, but right there is the actual little fork that you'll see going back and forth across the bottom, showing you what your shutter speed is at. And this thing starts here, comes down, across, up, back down, around and around and around and around, and then back and around and around and around. Twice when I was working on this thing, I bumped these cords off of their pulleys. It's very easy to do. The pulleys are small. The cable is very small. I didn't notice it right away. So make sure and take note of where all those cables are. Take lots of pictures. And make sure that before you slap everything back together and start cranking knobs like I did, that everything is where it should be. You'll see this is a pulley, this is a pulley, this is a pulley, little pulley, couple little pulleys in here, and it all winds around there. So bear that in mind. Incidentally, you'll notice that the back eyepiece is off. That's this. I took that off so I could access that little fork on the shutter speed indicator. So I'm going to double check that, and now I'm going to clean up the prism and put it back together. But I wanted to make sure that I was clear about that, because I didn't realize until it was almost too late. I made a weak spot in that cable because I didn't know right away that it had flopped off a pulley and was dragging. So there you have that, and ever forward.